You ever notice how one AI video looks like a movie and the other one just looks like a demo? Well, that's always been the challenge with cinematic AI filmmaking. For a long time, getting that cinematic look meant layering on camera settings, lenses, focal lengths, and vibes into a single prompt. And if you missed one detail or forgot your template, the whole look fell apart. Well, recently, a new tool just dropped that's trying to solve that exact problem. So I decided to dive in, test it for myself, and see if it's all hype or actually useful. In this video, I'm gonna walk you through the process, show you what I learned, and explain what actually makes a difference between a normal AI video and a cinematic one. And if you're new here, I'm Khalil from AI for Real Life. And over the past year, I've been testing AI video tools and workflows across real projects. Everything from ad campaigns to music videos to client work and long-form cinematic storytelling projects of my own. And I've been sharing that process almost every day over on TikTok, but I wanted to come back to YouTube so I could slow things down, go deeper, and actually show you what's going on in my head when building out these scenes. So this isn't about hype or one-click magic. It's about learning how to direct AI instead of just prompting it. All right, let's go ahead and dive in. All right, so what we're gonna do right now is a full walkthrough of Higgsfield's new cinema studio. But before we even get into the tool itself, I wanna talk about the why, like why I was interested in this in the first place. See, when I'm creating AI images and videos, well, there's a process that I always go through. And I talk about this a bit in my previous video, but the short version is this. First comes the whole casting phase, and then comes the scene. I'll build out pose sheets for the characters and different angles for the environment, and all the different variations that give me options later on to keep consistency. And I'm not gonna go deep into the whole casting thing in this video right here, but it's important context to have. So once that first phase is done, the next big challenge is cohesion, making sure that every scene looks like it belongs in the same film. And the thing is, if you start with flat generic images in your videos, you're gonna lock in a flat generic look for your actual videos later on. And also if you start with images that have completely different looks, different lighting, different lenses, different vibes, then once you move into the video section, everything is gonna feel off. So one of the most important steps in cinematic AI filmmaking, in my opinion, is locking in the look before you ever even touch the video. See, in the past, the way that most of us handled this was through our prompts, like very, very detailed prompts. And that's where you'd bake in the composition, the camera, the lenses, the focal length, the color science, the texture, everything that you need to keep everything consistent. And then you would just reuse the prompt or reuse elements of the prompt over and over again. But here's the problem with that. See, if you forget one detail or you don't use your template that time or your model decides to drift a little bit, everything starts to break. And then you're backtracking trying to figure out where the tool changed or where you went wrong. And see, that whole process works, and there's many different ways of doing it. You can start a project in ChatGPT and put the prompt in there so that it's always got reference to it. You can make a gem in Gemini, but it's kind of a process. And then personally for me, organization is not my strongest suit. So prompts get lost, the gems get buried, all kinds of stuff, projects pile up, and then I end up scrolling through old generations just trying to rediscover a look that I already solved and find the prompt so that I can keep everything consistent when I pick a project back up, maybe even months later. And that, from what I understand, is the problem space that this tool is trying to step into. So when Higgsfield announced their cinema studio, it actually immediately caught my attention. Not because like it's on the surface, it's so flashy. I mean, it looks pretty cool, but because it looked like something that I had already been trying to build myself behind the scenes. I've been trying to build variations of what this actually is in the background. I've been trying to build it out for a while, and I've gotten a few variations down. So when you open up Cinema Studio, the first thing you're gonna notice is that it's designed for you to start in the image section, not the video section. That's just the way that it pops up. And that's intentional. I actually did a little research, and that's what Higgsfield suggested, was starting with this. And that makes sense because the images are sort of your look development stage, and this is where you figure out the visual language of your project. I love to do image to video first because it just gives you that much more of a level of control. So on here you can see you can do it at 1K, 2K, or 4K. And at 1K or 2K is gonna cost you 2 credits, and at 4K is gonna cost you 4 credits. So I'm not gonna do all the math on this, but if you look at the pricing in Higgsfield, you can start to get an idea of how much this is gonna cost you. So for example, if you've got the basic plan at $9, you're gonna get about 75 2-credit images out of this thing. So those are the basic settings, but where things get interesting is the camera and lens panel, and this is huge. Let's go ahead and dive right into this. So instead of prompting camera language every time, you choose it. So you can pick from their list, their curated list of cinematic cameras. You can see whether they're using digital or film, which is pretty cool. And you can pick lenses, whether they're spherical or anamorphic, and you can choose different focal lengths. And this whole setup is huge for two reasons. First is because it removes a major failure point. So you don't have to remember to prompt a camera and lens every single time. And second, and this might be even more important, that this can act now as a learning tool. So I didn't go to film school, and I understand what looks good, and I love to study. I love to study movies, film, and just people's creations in general. But if you ask me off the top of my head which lens is best for a specific emotional beat or what camera is going to give you a certain look, then I'd have to look it up. I'd have to probably ask ChatGPT or Gemini. But here you can actually see what each camera and lens combination does. And that's awesome. Because when I show you my example prompt of something that I would use on a project like this, all that stuff is baked in. And for whatever reason, a lot of my projects, I use the ARRI Alexa, and I use like a Kodak Portra sort of style. But did I know why? Not really. I didn't do that much research. I asked ChatGPT what would make this shot look good and what kind of camera, what kind of lens to use. And that's what it gave me. So that's what I went with, and then I just stuck with it. But this, it gives it all mapped out right there. You can try wide focal lengths versus tighter ones and really start to understand the whole process. So I started testing combinations just to understand why certain looks felt the way they did, because I'd never really had this option, right? I would just ask ChatGPT, it would make it, I would say that looks cool, let's move forward. But this gave me actual camera names and lenses and focal lengths that I could just go through each one and find the look and the feel that I liked and then lock that in and understand what camera and lens combination was giving me that look. That was pretty huge and pretty cool in my opinion. So as I was going through and testing all these, at some point I realized I didn't fully understand why I was getting certain looks and certain results when I was testing out the different cameras and lenses and focal points. So I jumped into ChatGPT, gave it a list of all the lenses, all the cameras, all the focal points, and had it break down every single one for me so that I understood what each one of them meant and why to use them in certain scenarios. So having this guide next to me, it completely changed how I approached this whole testing process. So instead of burning credits, just trying everything, I can narrow down the combinations based on my intent. And then I just had that guide in ChatGPT and I would say, I'm going for this kind of shot. And it would say, well, I would probably try this camera with this lens, but stay away from this and this because of this. So that was really huge for me. And that's when it really clicked for me. See, Cinema Studio isn't just a generator, it's more of like a framework. So anyways, so the next thing that we're gonna talk about is how Cinema Studio, it also supports reference images. So it does it for both characters and environments. And this is becoming standard right now. The Nano Bananas and the ChatGPTs and the Klings and all the different image and video generators, they've got references now, right? And this does a solid job overall, just like a lot of them do. But there's something important that I do need to talk about when it comes to this whole thing. And like most AI image models, it still struggles for some reason with black characters when using reference images. Not when you're going one-to-one, but when you use a character as a reference image. Specifically my own character that I'm used for a lot of these projects, because I do this a lot and I've noticed this and I was trying to understand what's going on there, but it was pretty consistent that I wasn't getting the right results with my reference image. For example, look at this. You get the essence of the character, but it's not my exact character. And I tested it side by side and I have done this for a while, like I said, but I use my other character here and it pretty much nails it. It gets it down really solid and it works out. It's pretty strong and consistent, but with my character, it's close, but not exact. So this isn't unique to Higgsfield. I've seen this across many image models. And from what I understand, it largely comes down to the training data. If there's not enough training data for a model on any sort of aspect, then the results aren't going to be as refined. So I'm guessing that we need more training data for these models with black characters. So anyways, my workaround for this is the same one that I use everywhere else. I generate the scene first, and then I swap out the character after using Nano Banana Pro. And when you do a one-for-one swap, that's what I was mentioning earlier. If you say, just change the character with the face of this character, then it does fine. But if you use it as a reference image, it doesn't really nail it, as you can see right here. it worked out fine. When I said to swap it out, it's the exact same character. And you can look right here, that's not the same guy. So anyways, just something to note. So once you've locked in a look, Cinema Studio gives you a multi-shot option. And this is great because this generates multiple angles of the same scene. And it's essentially like built-in coverage. And this is something that I did a whole video about, my process of doing this with Nano Banana Pro not so long ago. But it seems to be becoming more of a standard right now, where this process of storyboarding with Nano Banana Pro and other models has kind of taken off. Well, what Higgsfield did was went ahead and baked that whole process into this platform. So even though you can do this manually and you can do this on your own, it's pretty nice that they put this in here. And another thing to note right here is that everything in Cinema Studio is generated in 21:9 aspect ratio. And so historically, I've worked with 16:9 mainly just for projects and for YouTube and for whatever I'm doing. But I've learned basically by looking at this and then doing some reading afterwards is that 21:9 is the cinematic format that a lot of people go for. It's the same thing a lot of people do when they do the black bars, but this is doing it more the right way. So it really reinforces the idea that this tool is built for cinematic work first. And honestly, they only give you that option of 21:9, so there's no other option to do any other aspect ratio. So when you generate these storyboards, you can upscale any selected shot into 4K, which I thought was strange because a lot of these models don't allow you, a lot of the video models don't allow you to generate from your 4K images because the files are too big. But whatever they did here, they made it so that you could actually generate these 4K images. So that's the image section in a nutshell. But before moving into the video, there's kind of an important takeaway from this whole image section that's worth calling out. This entire phase is about decision making before motion. So by the time you leave the image section, you should already know what camera language your project is using or what lens characteristics define the feel, whether you're leaning cinematic, clean, gritty, stylized, whatever. And having all of that locked in before you start the video section is key, in my opinion, and obviously in Higgsfield's opinion also. So Cinema Studio kind of forces you or suggests that you slow down and solve the look first. And that's the real value of this image first workflow. All right. So once you have that locked in, you can move into the motion. So once we move into the video section, the benefit of starting with images becomes very clear. See, your camera, lens, lighting, look, they all carry over automatically. You're not re-prompting everything. You're kind of directing at this phase. So you can generate 5 or 10-second clips. Let's see, what else do they have here? Audio can be on or off. There's a slow motion option, which I haven't even tested that yet. But the biggest feature here is the camera movement. And instead of prompting camera language, you can choose from these movement presets, which a lot of people are already doing this. You can do like the orbit, pan, jib, static. This is not new, but having it within this ecosystem is really nice. And one thing I noticed with this is that simple prompts, they worked surprisingly well. Since they have the look and the feel and then the camera already baked in and the movement already baked in, then sometimes you can just say a few words and it actually works out pretty nice. Like for example, with this one, I just said orbit. That's it. I just chose the orbit setting, hit generate, and it was pretty cool. Let's go through some of these examples though. So with these, you get the camera movements and it's actually pretty smooth. And as you can see right here, with this one, with the start and end frame, I use this image as the start frame, this image as the end frame, and then I just had it pan over to the other subject and it was seamless. But what you'll notice if you use the start and end frame, then some of the options, they don't work anymore. So that's something to think about. So also sequential direction worked really well here too. And what I mean by that is, like I say, the character speaks and then the camera jibs down to an object. And that's what I did with this one, where he was speaking, he says a line, and then the camera jibs down. And I don't know why he got so serious right there, but he got pretty serious after saying his line. So I don't think it was a joke.
So maybe I do like pina coladas?
Don't. So not every shot is perfect, but as you can see here, with just these 6 generations, they were all really solid. So the success rate looks like it's pretty high. One of the other things that I noticed on here, which is very interesting, is that Higgsfield, they don't show you which video model you're using under the hood. And so I did a little research and they say that it auto selects the best one for you. And I've kind of mixed feelings about that. I like not having to choose the model, but I'm curious about what's actually running things. But I guess if it works, right? One of the things that also makes me curious about it is that For a 5-second generation, it is 8 credits. For a 10-second generation, it is 18 credits, which is more than double, but I don't understand that. But if you go to a video model like VO 3.1 quality, for example, it's going to cost you 58 credits. So this is a lot less expensive than running one of those models, and it's got baked in voices and sound. And as you can hear, it did a pretty good job. So that said, the credit cost is significantly lower than running some of the standalone video models, especially like VO 3.1 and Sora and things like that. So that's nice if you're paying for all of these credits. So here's my honest take on Higgsfield Cinema Studio. This isn't quite a one-click magic button sort of thing yet. It still takes thought, it still takes creativity, and it's a slight process, and it's not perfect, but it's getting a lot better. It still struggles with certain things, especially with character consistency for certain characters, but it's very close to being a true end-to-end cinematic workflow. And one of the things that really stuck out to me is that it actually teaches you some of the cinematic language and how some of these cameras and movements work. So for someone new to AI filmmaking or someone without a film background, that's pretty huge. You're not just generating content, you're actually learning how to direct in some sort of ways. So I've been working on my own cinematic series in the background, and the difference between what I could do just a few months ago and what's possible now is honestly wild. If I had tools like this when I started it, it would have been a completely different ballgame. So when I come back to that project, which I spend a lot of time doing other people's projects, but when I come back to my own project, it's gonna be a completely different game. So if you've ever wondered why one AI video looks like a movie and the other one looks like something shot on somebody's iPhone, it's not just the model, it's the workflow. And this tool actually looks like it takes a real step in the right direction. All right, so that was my experience diving into Higgsfield Cinema Studio. And honestly, I'm excited to dive in deeper and really push it with some of my more cinematic projects. So if you found any value in this, definitely like the video, subscribe, and leave a comment. Even though I'm a little backed up on responding to comments right now, I do read them. And honestly, the comments are how I figure out what's missing, what people are confused about, and what you actually want to learn next. They directly shape the next videos I make and the guides that I build. And speaking of guides, for a lot of these walkthroughs, I put together extra material. So check the link in the description if you want deeper breakdowns, supporting guides, or if you want to sign up for the newsletter where I go more in depth on this kind of stuff. You can also find links to my other social channels there. As always, thank you for watching. I really appreciate you being here, and I'll see you in the next one.